company that is today, I never thought about that it'll be the idea that I'm running on. So the beauty about this business is that it evolved as the telecom evolved in this country. Earlier days, the mobile was evolving, and we used to have news that Chandigarh was the first city in this country where mobile crossed the penetration of the landline, you know. So the first ride was how mobile is going to take over the telecom, and we were riding incidentally mobile as a 2G environment, calling and SMSs. And then later it became how mobile has become the mainstream for sure, and how number of services are going on the mobile, which is, we wrote that well again. And then today it is about how the internet will take over using mobile, not just desktop internet.
Okay.
So I think industry has been giving us more growth opportunities, and we are not doing some awesome job of nothing, just a little bit of hard work of how the industry is shaping up and putting our bets on few line items and then working hard on that. So
what was the various milestones for 197 from 10 crores to 50 crores? These are basically different lifetimes for young businesses.
Yes.
Can you just take us through some of that?
okay, so I would say that the first one was where the name 197 came.
Okay.
It was a people search. I made it in way back in 99, 2000 actually. So the first problem of mobile was that people did not know the landline numbers, and they used to not use directory of the phone. So they get a phone call, and receiving phone call is paid for, and they want to call back and understand who's this guy. So we built a service called 197, which means people search. You send a number of the phone number that called you, and we'll give you the address of that number.
Okay.
So that is how we got people search and 197 making in the business. And we started from this sort of, we built few more SMS applications. Early on I figured out that it is not about SMS. This country doesn't know how to write an SMS message on the phone, and especially SMS is a little bit more complex to write on a phone. So we moved from SMS to the voice, and we believe that voice will be what this country will understand, and because everybody knows how to receive a phone call or make one. So we moved, next milestone came when we started doing the voice applications. And in the voice, it was tough. It was costly platforms. It was business required a lot of capital investment. Unlike many other well-funded companies, I didn't raise money.
Absolutely.
There were reasons for that to go on with. So I was running my business.
You bootstrapped for quite a bit of time.
Actually, my first round of funding came in 2007. So I started in 2000. So first 7 years of business, I didn't even have somebody else's money. So we were putting customers' money back into the business, and I think one thing I'm very glad about it. We built this business on fundamentals of profitability, customer satisfaction, and why will customer pick us ever? Will we ever be relevant and be thrown out? So we remain paranoid ever since, and we are always that. So I think that's where we learned that voice platform, which was tricky to deploy. It was very costly. I remember one more thing. It was 12 lakh rupees for one unit of the system to be deployed, and I didn't have money, so I took a bit of loan, 8 lakh rupees loan, I still remember. And it was a tricky day. A lot of bad things happen in life, and there were big guys who used to deploy voice, and I took a vow that we'll be the largest voice guys in this country. Today, we have more than 500,000 concurrent calls capability. We have 500,000 plus ports in this country, which is by far the bigger than anybody else could claim in this country. So, and I mean, we will handle, I don't even know how many billions in a week calls and how many millions. We handle more than 500 million users on our platform. So that's become like far and wide spread in every telecom operator today. So we built this platform, got into voice. That was our second milestone. Soon the voice became the content dissemination platform, which was more like that the content is delivered using voice.
Okay.
So you dial, listen to music, you dial, listen to cricket scores, you dial, go to the everything that you wanted to do. So first wave was content on the voice. I think there was a big problem in that, which was that it was too pricey. 6 rupees a minute for consumer, for end customer, and I don't think that was very viable as a business.
For a market like India.
For a market like India, but everybody was making money and nobody was bothered about it. So then came the business model, which was subscription driven, which was that you pay me 30 rupees a month and listen to fair usage limit as much you can. In that market, we figured out it will be less relevant to be a content player because the content royalties have gone high and everything else. It will be more important to be the person who is a content discovery and a content selling capability. So we became customer analytics company. And I think that's a proud moment for our company that we keep changing the shapes. And today we are proud to say that we are the largest customer analytics company in this country who uses telecom data. We in our analytics systems put plus 200 GB of customer profile data every day. That means that's a huge data, and on more and more segmentation, more and more knowledge that who will need what is what we work on. And that differentiates us from any other company in the industry. So we are truly in the core as an analytics company which knows how to sell it to the consumer. And after that we built in content company on top of it, advertising company on top of it, and now we are working on being mobile commerce company on top of it.
So in terms of transitioning from SMS to voice to internet to building m-commerce, give us a little more about that m-commerce. What are your plans in that direction?
I think if you go forward few more years ahead, services which are hosted in cloud, which are 2G kind of clouds, call and SMS, versus which are hosted in cloud, which is internet accessible, internet will slowly start overtaking these voice and SMS services.
Okay.
We are saying they're not happening for next 3 years for sure, but we know that it is inevitable. Another thing that is changing is that consumers' devices are being smart, smartphones are coming in, so there will be large app ecosystem which is inevitable to build up. So there is a lot more opportunity which I would say is coming in if we try riding mobile internet wave. So we've changed our mandate to be called from a content or advertising company or any other thing to be called a mobile internet company. So actually we now want to be called mobile internet company, which is riding the wave of what mobile internet will create.
What does it mean?
So what it means is that consumers will access our services using mobile internet first. What it means is that we will deliver advertising services, and our advertising business will be based on app and smartphones more than 2G phones. What it means is that we will have commerce which will be driven again thanks to the mobile internet driven products.
So your market just becomes bigger.
I think we are a startup for that, but the beauty is that we are now having 4x opportunity of what we used to see ourselves as earlier. It's a change world. It's a much bigger world. And one thing I'm even more happy about it is that I think this is a long-term world now. So if I was 6 years back, I was talking something we were looking for today. Today, if I look at something, it is getting 4x bigger. So it's a very, I would say, very exciting phase of our company. Next 12 months will make it even more different and more colorful, and I can't wait for it. I actually started my life as an internet entrepreneur. Incidentally, when I was in college, that time we started doing a search engine. That was 98. And by the way, I hate to say this, that time we lost a bigger opportunity. Larry and Sergey were making a search engine in the US that time. Look at that, if we would have got what environment Silicon Valley gives. I wish, inshallah, we should have done something much better and bigger. That said, I think we were very proud of what we built up at that point of time, and we sold it to a New Jersey-based company. I learned a bit of telecom there. That's how I got into telecom actually. Internet didn't have money that time, telecom only had money, and I thought that it is useless to be in a business which doesn't bother about real money. And I think I would say that that more made me move to telecom. So telecom came more like a learning sequence to me.
Interesting. So you think the fundamentals are in place right now, telecom, internet, now in India?
I think India has definitely grown up as far as the telecom is concerned, much more. Internet is primitive. Internet, I would say that it's shame to see websites which are made by Indians. They're not even user friendly. I mean, I'm horribly done well, horribly done bad. This country in most of other aspects is very good if it is doing for the rest of the world. We are a service oriented company. If we have to build our own product, we'll not be bothered about it. If this office was to be made for somebody else, it would have been awesome, right? Very rare companies will make their own self and their own office, something which is something they love to, and so I can say that I just hate that as a culture. I hate that as a problem in the world. So Indian internet is primitive. Incidentally, Indian internet will change, unlike what most of the internet companies in India are. They're internet first. I'm surprised. Google says mobile first. Indian companies don't even have a mobile application. Not naming the companies, they don't even have applications done on the mobile. They don't even have the mobile internet on the mobile applications and sites. It's that.
See, so coming from someone like you, who has been an entrepreneur, and you've seen these major macro waves happening in telecom internet space, what do you think about the entire euphoria about e-commerce? If it is euphoria, is the right word for e-commerce at all, do you think?
Let's remember one thing. In a digital connected world, what can you do as a business? One is you deliver content first thing. So there is a lot of content that will say. Content itself getting monetized like a paid model, a little bit far-fetched even for the rest of the world. So NY Times, Wall Street Journal, trying, grappling, and able to make some sense. Paid wall content.
Does it really work?
Doesn't really work. So one is content. So then when there is a lot of content, then you have advertising as a product. So second is advertising. Advertising is in India a subset of a very small advertising business itself. So if Indian advertising business is looked at, I would say this is Apple size first of all, in the size rest of the world. If they have large watermelons, India's advertising business in the overall advertising industry of US, like it's a very little Apple piece. Then the problem is a percentage of that comes to online. A percentage of that will come to the mobile. So advertising market space in this country will go, I do not even know that why brands haven't learnt it yet, but there is an education and they will definitely come towards it as a primary audience. So advertising is a smaller market. So what's left on a connected world is that you charge the end customer and offer him something. That's exactly where the commerce is. So there is a fundamental requirement of commerce to be as a first preference on a connected internet world, which is what we are waiting to happen. So early leadership in the commerce will help long-term businesses. Even if it is euphoric, it will build a few long-term companies. It is euphoric. It is an opportunity. It is really a sincere opportunity. Look at that. One such opportunity which was not commerce in US, which was more about local commerce, called couponing. Everybody wanted to replicate it. True opportunity, true revenue. Commerce better than few other opportunities in this country.
In terms of valuations of these kind of e-commerce companies, any comment on that? $1 billion? Or
I wish there are $20 billion companies in this country. I wish. And it incites everybody who's sitting behind the job wall and says that I will unleash and come out. And while I say that, I wish they don't create a bubble, right? So.
But do you think it's a bubble in the making at all?
So there are two things about it. First of all, $1 billion. I'm glad that somebody touches $1 billion, and I'm glad that that's a milestone. I remember one quote by a very known gentleman on $1 billion hurt. The gentleman is on my board, Deep Kalra, actually. So he said his company did an IPO of $1 billion. It changes everything, like an iPhone when they launched. It changes everything. And I said, so what do you say when you hear about $1 billion private fundraising? He says it changes everything again.
Yeah.
So I'd say that it does change everything again, and $1 billion is not bad if you can pull it off. And as an entrepreneur, you have a long-term vision and you have a long-term story to build up. What's wrong with it? May there be $2 billion? Why?
My thing is, are these valuations justified?
Valuations in US are not justified. Valuations in India hopefully are not justified. We're living in a better time. Where's the justified valuation of Facebook? Where's the justified value? What do you want to justify? Your life that you live, or the money that somebody is raising at?
There has to be some.
What's called justification, anyways?
There has to be some basis.
It's an opportunity. Somebody gazes it. Somebody is selling. A seller and a buyer is a relationship which is not related about justification. It is more about every buyer is a wise buyer, right? Every seller is a wise, intelligent guy. If somebody is able to sell and somebody is able to buy, we can't justify that this is right or wrong. End of the day, whenever there is a movement of buy and sell, somebody is doing a bad job, right? I'm hoping that it is not a bad job. Is it a bubble being built up? This is too harsh a word for a really good job done. Bubble is a too harsh a word for this hard work done. I wish there are $20 billion, then I will bother about a bubble.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I think it's not bubble yet.
I wish there are $20 billion and then I'll bother about the bubble.
Interesting. I think Vijay has a very interesting perspective. In terms of your own organization, getting back to 197, I think you as an entrepreneur have been very focused on fundamental profitability. And the beginning of the interview, you were telling me about that. In terms of value creation, by way of being very profit-oriented, not really very multiple expansion kind of viewpoint, how does 197 really come along?
So I run this company without any investor, which means I had to be very wise on every expenditure I do, every money I get, and everything that you can imagine. I was not given luxury of spending in the American term of burning the cash. And I think this is such a bad word anyways. You should invest in cash. So I think if we speak of 197, we've been possessively focused on revenues and profitability, possessively focused. I can tell you that this year we'll generate something in upwards of 100 crore of cash. That's like plus 100 crore of EBITDA. We might touch 120 crore this year. And last year we did nearly, I mean, like, this won't be an awesome growth incidentally. If you really notice, last year's PAT were touching 40 crore for a company. We were 39 crore for PAT levels last year. For an industry which is supposedly not doing good, the world is not rosy, I hope that our results speak that some hard work can deliver critical results.
Yeah.
So if you want to look at companies like ourselves, I would say that fundamentals, what else? I mean, there are,
Everything is in place.
yeah, I mean, like, I've been in this business for 10 years. How the heck I can keep building speculative businesses? I don't know how to run a speculation for 10 years. I know that you have to build substantial results. End of the day, even if it is for Amazon, if it's for Google, or it is for Facebook, the valuation is a respect of what they will build up. I'm hoping that we can give a statement that we built this till today, we will build an awesome thing further down the lane. And that is what our intention is. Actions can speak louder than our claims in the pitches and PPTs. We've shown that how well efficient company we built until this place and how well we can build it up. So fundamentals are not something to, I would say, be proud about. I would say they are hygiene. And yes, bubble comes when fundamentals are discarded. Bubble doesn't come when there is $1 billion. Bubble is the moment when the fundamental is discarded. Bubble is not a $1 billion statement. Bubble is fundamental discardation. If I put $1 billion on a company, no fundamentals, I mean, that's a speculation actually. And if there is, I mean, Groupon and companies like Amazon, companies like Apple, Apple is undervalued for the bubble that we are talking about. Stock market undervalues the technology companies, private market understands a little better, so that sort of stuff.
In terms of this private and public market mismatch, you also had an IPO in plan. What's happening on that front?
I don't think that we will go with Indian IPO.
IPO.
Yeah, and the reason is that we believe that we as a company versus the market interpretation of the company is a little mismatched. So there is also a problem of market goes through many more sentiments than versus a company performance.
It's very buoyant, yeah.
It's actually very fluctuating. It's not something that you can predict either. So we as a company don't believe that we would need a public money yet. We're going to do a private fundraise.
Private funding from the same investors?
Actually, I mean, that's an open conversation. So we will do it from same investors, new investors. That's not a worry. But one thing is for sure that I think in a private round we can definitely do a much better job of fundraise and a respect and appreciation for company. The problem in the public round is that you are slotted with anybody else, and how on earth you have a control on who's anybody else? You have a control on your own destiny. You have a control on your own hard work. You have a control on your own results, business verticals that you do. You can't control somebody else's revenues and profitability and stock price, and which is I think it's stupid to attempt to go IPO.
So that level of sophistication is not there in the Indian market yet to understand perhaps and to compare with the likes of On Mobile or something.
Somebody does gold mining, somebody does diamond mining, and somebody does bauxite mining. They are very differently valued. What you make, how is that produced in the marketplace? How are you producing? It's just not because you're a mining company. Stock markets value or understand sectors.
They don't understand.
They don't understand companies. So if a telecom operator is good, not all operators are good, or not all the sector is good, and if few telecom operators are not good, it doesn't mean that everybody else is not good. It's a sector problem. As an investor, I would say that is the difference in a private equity or a public equity. Private equity guy can talk to you, look at your people, look at your business, look at your forward-looking understanding. Public market, who's got time to bother about this? Who's got time to bother about that much? It's just a slot, sector, bye-bye, that's it.
So it makes more sense for someone like you to rather do a private round. There was sophistication, understanding there.
I think it's my learning. If you have a bad comp, it's a bad market to go in. That's it.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
So you'd rather go for US listing eventually?
I don't know. I mean, I'm too heartburn, too sad, or I'm too stuck for this. I have a business. And I want to tell you that the business that we're doing is so awesomely great that I'm hoping that the $1 billion journey that we were bothering about our revenues and business is much more nearer than I was thinking earlier. So it's lot much more accelerated opportunity, lot much more better opportunity of mobile internet and being the company which is leveraging commerce, advertising and content on mobile internet than bothering about what is the most optimum fundraise today. I think
does it really make sense?
Doesn't really make sense. I'm glad that I have investors who back me. I'm glad that if we go private fundraise and people will be interested and they will appreciate and they will invest, comma at much better than market valuations, hopefully on that day if we were to go in market. And then if we were to talk further down about it, what a businessman needs: money to put the business in place and money to grow the business. Even better than that is money from the customer which can grow the business.
Yeah.
I think that's the fundamental run that we are running on. We aren't in it for the heck of it for going public. My investors, I'm so proud of. Every one of them has been behind us, long term, supportive, far more than what my earlier assumptions were of kind of people I'll have. I can tell you they are more of people whom you want to be friend in life with, and you want to be actually saying that I will love to be a company together. So it's like a partner in the business, and I think I'm proud of that. So if it is about dominating as a word, I want to build up enough money. We want to put 100 crore in the bank and say that we have enough money, we won't bother about it if we have to grow, and we have to aggressively grow. So that is what our intention is. So that is why we are raising money. That is why we will raise money. And B, the domination of mobile internet, that's it, nothing else.
Can you put some final contours of exactly what we can expect from 197 going forward in terms of applications being rolled out, in terms of services or products?
When you look at content business, so 3 businesses: content, commerce, and advertising. Yeah. In the content, go towards video, gaming, and general content, more and more smartphone centric content. We will not mind investing, acquiring if it comes to these kind of companies. Advertising, we building advertising based on massive analytics. I shared that amount of data that we generate about customer user experience, and more customer data is what we are hoggers and suckers of, I would say that. So an advertising piece based on that. So expect us to do harder and more announcements and more hard work in advertising business. Commerce is, I think it's a nascent business, and that's most precious to me actually today, if I say, because every other thing generates a lot of revenue. I mean, content is about $20 million for us, advertising is about $20 million for us, commerce I'm hoping I'll make $10 million for us.
How scalable is the entire business opportunity?
I literally feel like a early stage startup for the business that we are doing. I mean, I'm lucky to be an early stage startup who generates cash, floats, has an office, resources.
An office like this?
An office like this. So I think for me it's a startup in early stage, and a business like what would happen, I can just say that looking at 10 years ahead today, it will be a very, very large opportunity, considering, just think about it. I mean, if we could build this business on 2G called call and SMS till this place, think about it. What if a customer has a great device, great connection? I mean, that's like saying that if you could do it on this, what will you do on this? So I think it's not just it is an opportunity, it is equal to a threat also, by the way, let's remember that, which means that there will be newbies getting into this business, and which means that there will be euphorisms, hopefully the bubbles. But I would say that it is a chance for everyone to come up. This is a chance for Indian entrepreneur to ride the mobile wave. This is a chance for Indian entrepreneur and entrepreneur in the rest of the world to come back in this country and say that we will build the mobile internet company of the year, of the decade. Everybody who's in internet, it's such a stale that they aren't going to go on this. Actually, I can even take a judgmental call on that. They don't understand much of this side of the world. I'm proud to say that we were born mobile. We were born mobile first. We are the ones who live on this platform our lives. So we will build a much better than what we built until this now. I think one thing is that we don't look at the market, which means we don't benchmark against anybody else in the industry. In other words, we are the challengers for ourselves. Actually, we all are living in a time which is globally euphoric. It's not this country's euphoria actually. Mobile has come in the world as a forefront. It's not that this country learnt mobile. Incidentally, if you look at the rest of the world's mobile and this country's mobile, they're very different. Rest of the world's mobile are iOS or Android based. This country's mobile is 3,000 rupees device. So not even the mobile is equal for the world. So it's a global opportunity. It's a much more rest of the world together opportunity than this. And if you start thinking on those lines, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. You only wish that you had more hours in the day, you had more resources, and like everyone else, more time.
In terms of your competitors, who could that be?
Because we run a portfolio of business, our revenue line items are like at least 8 or 9. So every vertical will have one or other competition, which also means that none of the competition will be more than 10% of our business end of the day. If we wipe off all of it, it won't be 10% anyways. So in all of this, I would like to classify in the content, in the advertising, and in the commerce, right? If you look at the content business, everybody who produces content and sells content would be the competition, because consumer can consume content on everything. So TV channel is my competition, because the burger is sending the content to the consumer on the TV device. Because he has a TV device, he will not probably consume my content. I have to satisfy a niche requirement of content. I wish I could do that, you know, so sort of stuff. So content means everybody who does content. Commerce means everybody who does commerce. Somebody does this commerce, that commerce, I enter from this commerce. So one day it is going to go flat, right? It has to go everything. It might be we started from recharges as a business. We do 10,000 transactions in a day in less than 3 months time period now. And we've started building a brand around it. Obviously, this is our anchor entry. It is not what our end game will be. Okay, so which means that today in the recharge market, I might have somebody else a competition, but later when I'm more generic, I'll have everybody else as a competition. So I think competition is yourself. Wish that you could superpower yourself.
So what's the thoughts on mobile gaming?
Important.
Part of your content.
In the content, if you go vertically deeper into the content, I believe that less number of people will like to pay for the content which they are paying today for. But gaming will be definitely one of those kind of content which people will pay for. So I wish that we could have 25% of revenue in the content vertical coming from gaming services. We are ready to invest in as many companies who do awesome amount of gaming. We are ready to take punts on that gaming. We don't have gaming developers, and I don't have a gaming DNA. So I'm glad to say that we will not be able to
invest in those kind of business startups.
Hopefully, that is what we.
Looking at that.
Extreme large amount of them. I mean, I wish we could fund 20 of them.
Interesting. In terms of another vertical, where about mobile payments and mobile commerce now?
We believe there's a large opportunity if you convert 500 million of consumers of this country into a paying digital currency. They can pay digital currency. That's a mission that we can say, and we built Paytm, pay through mobile, because of that. So we believe the payment gateways in this country sucks big time. They are not sure more than 80% or 90%, which is like you're losing 20% of business most of the times. Consumers are not knowledge yet. I think so many restrictions, so many awesome opportunities. Let me just say that. So converting this country's money into digital,
Takes a lot of time.
it'll take a lot of time. It will be those who will do this and win the war of money.
Interesting. In terms of, Vijay, in any business, as an entrepreneur goes, there are always some low points and high points. Coming as CEO as an entrepreneur, the way you build this company, very profit focused, in terms of the entire DNA. What were the kind of low points of your, and how did you kind of cope up with it? It would be a good message for our entrepreneurs who are watching this actually.
I had taken a bit of loan when I sold 40% of my company to get 8 lakh rupees in the loan.
40%
of my company was given for 8 lakh rupees a loan, which got converted into equity later. So I had to do that. That was my bright point, that I got 8 lakh rupees. But what it went through was all places door shut. You have only one door, which was called get out of this. I chose to take a lifeline, even if it was, you might say it was costly, but I would say that was truly an angel money actually for me. And I'm so happy and I'm glad that that lifeline came to me at that point of time. It's a risk and reward actually. So from that point, I had a life which started moving back again on track and so forth. So my really bad point was when my family believed that I shouldn't be into this.